Welcome to Module 7, the Trimbak Range, as part of the Sahyadri webinar series, a visual journey across 200 forts in the beautiful Sahyadri. Today we'll be covering some 8 forts in the range of Trimbakeshwaran, located west of Nasik. As usual, the HD quality videos are available on my YouTube channel shown here, as well as my blog ultrajourneys.org. A 10 minutes preview video gets posted on Insta TV and Facebook. Voila, here we're looking at the Trimbakeshwaran range, where we'll be covering from east to west some 8 forts, starting with Ghargad, proceeding to Rajangiri, then Anjaneri, finally to the main fort of Brahmagiri and Durg Bhandar, and then a pretty famous one, Harihar, the steep rock cut steps. And nearby a hidden beauty of Basgat and a high peak of Utwat. Trimbakeshwaran range is a mountain range in the western Ghats of Maharashtra, entirely situated in the Nasik district. The range lies 30 kilometers southwest of the district headquarters of Nasik. The saddle-shaped depression of the Brahmagiri mountain protects Trimbak, a town considered holy by the Hindus. Devotees throng to this town to pay a visit to the sacred Trimbakeshwar Shiva temple. The northern face of the range is the birthplace of India's second longest river, the Godavari. The southern face of these hills are covered with beautiful dense forests and used form a catchment area for the upper Vaitarna reservoir, the most important and reliable source of potable water for the metropolitan city of Mumbai. Okay, let's start at Ghargad, for which we don't know much of history. As per the internet, this fort is surrendered to the British immediately after the fall of Trimbakgat. Captain Briggs captured this fort in 1818. The fort was under control of the British till the Indian independence. These are 2 gates on the main entrance path to the fort. There is a rock-cut water cistern and a cave on the fort. I was spending the night, the previous night, in a small temple here at a very remote hamlet at the base of Ghargad Fort. From there we have a dirt track that zigzag up the mountain to the base of the fort, where we'll find a small temple, actually a beautiful greens region where there is a small temple and a couple of priests are staying. You also have a couple of decorations here in the garden. Up there we can see Ghargad. In the forest here you have a couple of beautiful statues near the temple. And then from this lush green forest we climb up pretty steeply along rock-cut steps up the hill to the Ghargad pinnacle. Around the pinnacle we'll find a corridor, a kind of an cut space to traverse horizontally around, completely around this prolonged pinnacle. And we'll also find a small temple there with an old rock-cut stone. Next on the list is Rajangiri. So Nasik has been a major trade center and market from ancient times. The goods from Dahanu port were transported to Nasik via Jawar, Gondagat, Amboligat. Rajangiri is situated in the Trimbakeshwar range in Nasik district, built to protect this route, along with Basgat, Harshat, Anjaneri and Bupadgat near Jawar. Since the pinnacle on the south of the fort is in the shape of a spouted pitcher, or Ranjan in Marathi, you can see it's a pretty prolonged fort here. We climb up from the highway, follow a ridge, and then further away there in the back you can see the fort. In front of the fort there is one kind of pitched pinnacle peeking out. Here you can see the same kind of intermediate pinnacle seen from the top of the fort. The grass is already pretty dry here towards mid-November 2019, 1 month after the monsoon stopped. And on top you can find big rock-cut reservoirs to supply the troops with drinkable water. Voila, next on the list in going east to west in the Trimbakeshwaran range we come across Anjaneri, one of the forts in the mountain range of Nasik Trimbakeshwar. Is considered to be the birthplace of God Hanuman. Anjaneri is located 20 km away from Nasik by Trimbak Road, 108 Jain caves are found here belonging to the 11th, 12th century. The area around Anjaneri was once ruled by, for a brief period by Virsen Ahir, who made it his capital. This is a pretty touristic fort, so you have a couple of shops near the base. Nothing like some cool lemon juice here with sugar to refuel yourself as you're covering quite a bit of distance in the hot sun between the base of each fort. Here again you can see, as the fort is visited quite often by pilgrims, you'll have a proper railing along the path. Midway you climb up through a small gully here where there was initially a rock staircase, as you can see, but now kind of washed away by the water. Further up then we finally come to rock-cut steps and a couple of caves where you can find some beautiful carved statues inside those caves, still in good condition. On top of the hill then, as you climb up further, you come across a fairly large lake here with quite a bit of vegetation. And climbing up further on the hill, you will come across a pretty open space with a big Maratha flag, as well as a couple of old stones here. Alright, so next then is the big one on the list, Brahmagiri. The hill Hiri of Lord Brahma appears in many mythological and legendary documents. The legend says that Saint Gautam and his wife Ahalya resided on this hill. Saint Gautam worshipped Lord Shiva and to bring Ganga in this hill. This river is known as River Gautami in the Brahmagiri hills. Trimbakeshwar Shiva temple is located near this place. The origin of the sacred Godavari river is near Trimbak. So if you look at the map there, you have Trimbak town on the base. Climbing up through a rock-cut staircase will go from the base to the top. And then on both sides, on the eastern sides, southeast, you'll have Kolambika Devi temple. On the northern side of this prolonged pinnacle, you'll have the Durg Bhandar fort. Here a small ancient building with beautiful carvings at the base of the staircase that leads up to Brahmagiri. Here then you can see the long staircase coming out of the forest below, climbing up to Brahmagiri hill, beautifully carved. There's even a railing there with up and down directions, which gives you a feeling of the number of visitors. A lot of monkeys also, naughty monkeys climbing up there. Beautiful carved statues out of the rock along the staircase. As you climb up, you go through several gates, this being the first one here in a deeply cut corridor. And then as you climb up further, the corridor gets actually into the mountain until it reaches on top where it's a vast expanse here. You can see a little trail that goes all the way to both sides of the hill. On one side we find the shrine dedicated to goddess Ganga. The river appears here as coming out of the mouth of Nandi. Kolambika Deva temple and a group of 108 Shivalings are seen nearby. A couple of priests staying in this temple. And then on the other side we come across one of the most beautiful forts I've seen on my way. Durg Bhandar there on the kind of hillock on the horizon there. To reach this place we need to traverse inside the rock actually. There is like a 20-30 meter deeply cut corridor here, a tunnel through which we enter, narrow ledge, cross the narrow ledge, and then again on the other side we climb up again to the same level through another tunnel. Like an amazing experience. Here you can see the very narrow ledge that connects the Brahmagiri hill with Durg Bhandar fort in the back. Here you can see that staircase, which must have been an Herculean task to cut through this basalt rock so deeply into this rock. Here a view from the base of the corridor. You can see the depth is quite stunning. Let's go for a small walk.
We're looking at Durg Bhandar here. Pretty awesome fort with an amazing staircase cut through rocks. Come, let's have a look. to connect this hill to that hill there, they had to get down to a small connecting portion, and to do so they just cut this amazing narrow staircase deep inside the rock. This must have been a Herculean task for the workers to cut through this rock. It's extremely deep. Until we reach the connecting point there.
Voila, after this first corridor we come onto the ledge.
After descending from staircase 1, we end up on a very narrow ridge here, connecting both hills. Down there is the town and lake, and here on both sides is a steep drop down, water everywhere in the valleys. So we can walk towards the other side. That's where we came down from.
Voila, and then on the other side we climb up again.
After getting over this narrow ledge, we end up to the base of the other hill, where again we enter not a cave but a human cut hole through which a steep staircase leads us up to the top again, high above. People must have spent months cutting through this hard rock here, deep inside the mountain, straight down.
Voila, then going down again to the base of Brahmagiri, I come along a local gentleman here who is playing the flute beautifully. Okay, next on the list is Harihar Fort, also called Harshagat, a fort located 40 km from Nasik city, 48 km from Igatpuri and 40 km from Goti in the Nasik districts of Maharashtra. It is an important fort in the Nasik district and was constructed to overlook upon the trade route through the Gonda Ghat. It receives many visitors because of its peculiar rock-cut staircase. Here we can see that steep staircase cut out in the pinnacle and leading up to the first entry gate there. Here a view on the kind of big steps leading up to the entry gates. You can see any enemy attack here climbing up. These big steps would have been exhausted by the time they reach the gate. Here the same view from the top. You can see small cutouts in the stairs there, probably to help people climbing up. We came down from the narrow ridge over there, quite a few shops there given the touristic nature of this fort. Here the view of the same staircase from within the first gate, beautiful views on the surrounding mountains. And then as we proceed to the left side around the midway the fort, we come across this rock-cut corridor that leads to the left side of the fort, where again we enter onto an equally steep staircase high above the valley below there, to finally enter again a kind of a corridor, an entry gate. Here you can see people would have had to come through this section, very vulnerable in case of an enemy comes in this fort. And finally we reached then to the top where we see a small building on top of the fort. At the end of the day then, at the base of Harigar, I settled down in the temple of a small village where immediately one of the local people picks me up and invites me into his home, gives me first of all a hot warm shower and then treat me on some nutritious home cooked foods, and then finally also requests me to sleep in his bed while he sleeps on the floor next to me. So overwhelming hospitality in these small hamlets in remote parts of Maharashtra.
We are at the base of Ghargad. As usual, received wonderful hospitality here with this family of farmers in a small village. We did a beautiful kitchen of a nice mud home. All the utensils are on display. The food is royal here: rice, bakri, aloo, vegetable, and a nice gravy. So unexpected hospitality can be found in the small villages along the way. Wonderful the way they treat a solo traveler.
Okay, so here you see that nice host of mine, after insisting many times that I should be sleeping into the bed, and he is simply sleeping on the floor of his home. Amazing, actually. Next is a beauty on the list. Baskargat or Basgat Fort was built during the period of the Yadava of Deogiri. It was under the control of the Yadavas from 1279 to 1308. It was later under control of the Bahamani Sultanate, followed by Nizam Shahi of Ahmednagar. In 1629, Shahaji Raje revolted against the Muhammad Adil Shah of Bijapur, and the fort was captured by him. The fort was again captured by Adil Shah after the surrender of Shahaji at Mahuli Fort. You can see we climb up from the southern side there along a small ridge and then actually enter Basgat Fort from the back of this plateau. From the same ridge again, dropping down steeply on the west, we connect to a nearby hill of Utwat. At the base of Basgat, it's time for a refreshing dip in the morning and crystal clear waters here. And then as we climb across a small ridge, we come again to the midway of the pinnacle, the final hill rock, where we go around the hill. On the back we enter pretty dense forest. The trail is still there, but just 1 month after the monsoon, a lot of vegetation still to walk through. On the way I find this peculiar insect, dead insect on the way, beautiful. And then stunningly, just in the middle of nowhere in this forest, we find the entrance fort of Basgat, pretty unsurprisingly on the back side of the fort rather than on the front facing part. Like a beautifully deeply cut double staircase that runs up the mountain, very majestic, cut again very deep in the basalt rock. You can see a view from the top of the staircase as we enter near the top of the fort with views on Utwat Hill in the back, connected through a dense vegetated valley. Let's go for a walk in this beautiful staircase.
We're standing on top of Basgat Fort here, and just taking you on a quick walk through the entrance door, which is quite amazing. Carved again in solid basalt rock is the main entry. And here we follow like a big corridor, initially a little bit bouldering, destroyed by the water, later on proper steps. Amazing how they cut this thing through solid rocks, hard stone. Well, here we come to the main staircase. Rocks have not fallen yet till this level after 4 centuries. We are descending the main staircase of Ghargad, carved into solid basalt rock. Very wide opening. On the opposite side we can see Utwat Hill. Big steps. Here opening up onto the entry. Entry of the fort is on the back, a bit surprising. In this jungly valley here, uninhabited with any villages. Utwat Hill again, and here you can see how they have cut into the rock. As we come to the entry point, we enter the forest now, on the way back to Utwat.
Voila. As we proceed back to the original ridge line, then we come here, we can see Utwat in view, and there is a small trail again going through the forest. You can see it on the opposite side of the saddle, leading up high up to Utwat Hill, from where we get stunning views on the surrounding Trimbak Range. You can also see Harihar clearly from this site.
We are just descending from Utwat Peak, which is the 100th peak / fort I covered so far in the Sahyadris. Beautiful views on the surrounding Sahyadri here. Further away there you can see Hari Hut. In front of us we have Ghargad, an amazing staircase on the back entry. And here below we can see another beautiful valley and a large lake. Stunning rock formations, ancient volcanoes erupted, eroded over millions of years, through the weather elements have given form to something very beautiful and unique in the Western Ghats. In between we have some flat areas and streams and forests, all very isolated.
Voila, this was the Trimbak Range near Trimbakeshwaran. Join us tomorrow for the next range, where we'll be descending further south towards the Igatpuri Dulbiri site, covering some 8 peaks in that region. You can find all these webinars as well as a lot more on my website ultrajourneys.org, where you can easily search on any specific region or area of interest. See you guys tomorrow.